and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do the Gemini full moon tarot part of the reading. I have done the astrology part and put that out already, so this is the tarot side of it that I will be doing for the collective at the time of this Gemini full moon, which took place earlier today, early hours, 04:34 hours in the UK, so most of us would have been asleep at that point. Big energy astrologically at this time. Venus and Chiron both stationed direct, so both of them are like not moving in the sky at all, and they both station direct at the same time as well, so that's quite interesting. One's going to move forward, Chiron's going to move forward in direct motion, and Venus is going to be moving backwards, so that's going to be a huge energy, expression of energy. Venus is all about love and relationships and feelings and emotions, and when she stations directly next to Pluto, it has a big effect on us on a very personal level as well. So if you're interested in the astrology, I talk more about that in the reading that I've just put out, so go and check that one out as well. So the first card that I'm going to start off with today is this beautiful card here. We have had this card before, and it is called the Enlightened One, and it's saying, out of compassion, enlightened beings never turn away from the horrors of the suffering of other beings. They see through such contorted surfaces to the infinite depth of the exquisite beauty of freedom and joy in the core of every being. Buddhas are not objects of worship, however, but mirrors of our innermost being. Icons of the journey from ignorance to illumination. Don't look at me, the Buddha would say, but to the enlightened state. Meditate on your own true Buddha nature, and you too shall know peace. And the words that go along with this are the awakened mind. And there is a lot of awakening that is happening at the moment, and unfortunately most of the awakening is happening because of suffering, because of all the suffering that is taking place at this time on our planet in many different ways, many different levels. So it's interesting because the first card that we start out with is the Hermit card, which for me is kind of like echoing that message from the Buddha, from the Enlightened One, because it's talking about going within. It's kind of saying that the only way we're going to find the answers that we're seeking at this time is to prepare ourselves inwardly, to go within, to look within, to find the answers within ourselves, because we also have over the top of this hermit energy here, we have the Four of Air, or the Four of Swords, as our challenge and our blockage at this time. So this is saying, again, for me, this is saying don't look outwardly, look within. There's a reason for us having to kind of stop and hold back, and it may feel as though there's a lot of outside pressure being put on us at this time, because this card also reminds me very much of what is actually taking place over this festive season. If you see there's a little face there, and there's all those keys hanging above the door. And so the keys for me is all about unlocking the secrets, unlocking the secrets to our own self. Hermit energy is really, that's how the message is coming over for me, with this Four of Swords over the top as well. It's like it's taking a step back. It's like giving ourselves time to think before we go rushing into anything. Not acting. Just not acting on anything at this time is probably the best way for us to deal with this energy. What's coming through here is sometimes the more we try to solve something by getting involved in something, the more of a mess it becomes. So it's almost like allowing that energy to kind of sort itself out in a way. And the best way of doing so is to go within, to look within for the answers. And in our head and what we are aware of at this time, we have the Two of Earth and the Eight of Earth. So these are very much to do with our environment. The Two of Earth, for me here, I always see this card as the card of past and present, or future, should I say. She's kind of sitting in the middle, in the present, and she's, I'll turn it up the other way, you can see it better. And she's got these two coins, and she's kind of looking up at this one, and yet she still has hold of this one. So she's kind of trying, it feels on some level, to bring that balance, to bring something from the past into the present or into the future. Doesn't necessarily want to let go of all of that past energy. So it's not a case of just kind of releasing everything or burning bridges or just kind of leaving the past in that sense, even though you can't necessarily bring the past into your present and your future. Sometimes we do have to let things go. But this is in reverse. So it's kind of saying to me that this has been a long, ongoing, drawn-out process, and that we're still kind of debating what we need to do in our own kind of headspace, if you like, in our environment. What is best? What is not good? What shall we take through with us? What do we need to let go and leave behind? And we also have the Eight of Earth here, which is often seen as a card of coming back to something, reworking with something. And today it's coming through for me in a sense of there is still more growth to be had here. There is still more to be learnt, still more lessons that we need to experience. Again, the Hermit energy is coming through quite strongly there. For our own personal, I always see the Hermit as a very personal energy, a very personal experience, a very personal understanding of life. That nobody else can live your experiences for you. And what you learn from your experiences is a very personal situation. It's a very personal lesson. But these two cards together for me are saying that there is something here that we need to, there is still growth, there's still something that we need to kind of acknowledge. Return to. Take a deeper look at. Instead of just kind of trying to rush into something else. is what I'm getting from this energy here. It's not quite time to close the door on the past. We've still got something. There's still lessons to be learned, or things to be learned, growth to be had here, is how it's coming through. And the past energy, what we're moving away from with the Ace, sorry about that glare from my light there, the Ace of Air, or Ace of Swords, is the energy that we're moving away from. And the Ace of Swords, or the Ace of Air, is seen as a card of truth, a card of kind of something, I always see this bit here like a very kind of like something that has in some way kind of startled the horse here, or the flying horse here, Pegasus, who's kind of making this leap into this new destination. I mean, all aces are new energy, so it's an energy that comes in and we have to work with it. So that's kind of the past that we're moving away from. So for me, it's kind of saying that there was this moment of kind of, it feels like this here is this moment of realization, or moment of kind of clarity, even of understanding something with a very sharp kind of focus, very sharp, like cutting through a lot of the BS and being able to get right to the very core, the very center, the very kind of yeah, the core of something, and kind of removing all of this around it so that we could see it clearly. And underneath in our subconscious, we have two interesting cards, because we have the Messenger of Water. So I put them around the wrong way. The Messenger of Water and the Two of Air. Two of Swords, following on from this Ace of Swords. So the Messenger of Water was in reverse, and this is in our deep subconscious. So this is kind of what we're not so aware of. It's like the root cause of what's happening at this time. And it feels as though on this level here, this card here is kind of saying that there's been this like this deep sleep, this kind of, it feels like hypnosis to me. And I always see this as the hypnosis card, this Two of Swords here, because this is like somebody who's dancing. She's, for me, it's very hypnotic. She's kind of doing this dance, which is kind of leading us along, if you like. Very kind of precise, subtle movements. Of course, air is all about the thinking mind as well. Also covers things like with the Gemini moon, it also covers things like the media as well, which is going to be very strongly focused over these next coming months, or these next 2 weeks especially, but even into January and beyond that. But the North Node has been in Gemini for the last 18 months, so we have had a lot of focus on all these kind of Gemini themes going on as well at this time. This is all air energy, but it feels here like something new has come in, but there is this sense of kind of like deception in a way, because there's this tiny little seahorse there. Which I feel on some level is that truth. It is that kind of that wakening up to the truth, and yet there's still this very strong kind of hypnotic yeah, like hypnotic, like being mesmerized, this mesmeric, if that's a word, I don't know, but some following something, following other people, following where we're told to go, rather than kind of looking for ourselves and finding our own path. It's kind of been leading us down the path that it wants to take us down. But there is this kind of slow, it feels like, because it's in reverse as well, very slow kind of awakening to the truth here. And not everybody is going to follow this path. Not everybody is going to want to, or is being mesmerized or hypnotized by this energy. So of course the Two of Swords is also double-sided as well, being two, dualistic, again very Gemini energy, two sides to every story, things not necessarily being as black and white as they appear. There's always kind of grey areas there as well. But there is this very dualistic energy to the Two of Swords, being in two minds, not knowing which mind, which way to follow, who to follow, what's the right thing to follow. And also, because this is water, it's kind of working on that deeper subconscious level anyway. So it's kind of coming through as quite this subtle energy, which we're slowly kind of awakening to, slowly coming out of. And becoming aware of our surroundings in a way, almost like waking up and kind of thinking, where have we been, what's been going on, is how it's kind of coming through. And again, I'm seeing that with this ace here, this kind of like something that's startled or something that's awakened and got us moving and shifting and kind of like yeah, it just seems like this startled today. He's coming through in this very kind of startled fashion. So the energy that's moving in here is patience, also known as temperance. And I suppose in many ways patience is literally that energy of patience, waiting for something, waiting for the right time for something to happen, which on an astrological level we have to do, because we can't kind of leap ahead before things are ready for us to do so. And again, this feels like a kind of leaping ahead, like, how can I put it, like possibly a timeline, like something that has pushed us into another timeline is also how this is coming through here. So we've kind of leapt ahead from where we have been. But in some ways it now feels as though with this energy here, and also this Hermit energy as well, that we need to absorb. This is a time to kind of absorb what it is that we're learning. And it does feel that there is this kind of lesson here about the past and the future and the growth, what we are learning, what we are growing through. Even though, because they're both upside down, both in reverse, it's saying that these are hard kind of struggles at this time, is also what's coming through, that it's difficult. There's difficulty here, there's a hardship here, a hardness here. But things aren't necessarily flowing easily. You have to kind of work at things, work extra hard to kind of get the results that we're looking for at this time. So today for me, because patience, temperance is an alchemical process as well. Often it's seen, it's shown with two goblets, one with one silver and one gold, so it also represents the masculine and the feminine energies and how they kind of blend together as one source of energy, and yet they're also kind of divided as well. Again, going back to that duality, Gemini energy. But this feels very much, because there's quite a lot of clocks around in this card as well. She's got clocks on her and around her. It feels like waiting, that kind of waiting period for the right time, which is why it feels that it's connected quite strongly to this energy here as well. But she also looks to me as though she is looking into the future, that she is looking away from the past. But there's a serenity within this card as well, like an acceptance or a peace that is there. A kind of, yeah, acceptance. An acceptance that this is the way things are at this time, and this is what we have to acknowledge. Work with. Because we have, in the energy that we're in at this time, we have justice and we have the 9 of fire, or the 9 of wands. So the Justice card is an interesting card, because she basically is talking about consequences to our actions, of things already being set in motion. It's like and this I feel is on a big collective scale as well, that what is happening now has been, it was set up like a long time ago, and you can't kind of like, with justice, it's kind of saying that the outcome in many ways has already been decided, because we're dealing with the past and the present and the future. So there is this kind of flow of energy, of things kind of like moving forwards with the Justice card, in the sense of coming out of the past, which creates that present that we're in, and then that present that we're in is going to create our future, which of course becomes our present. So it's kind of an awareness, this growing awareness that we can't kind of escape, if you like, the product of our actions. And she's also holding here this kind of flaming sword as well, which again kind of relates to this truth, the sword of truth. But I'm also seeing she also has these scales here as well in her hand. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. But she is holding these scales here. And of course the scales well, they represent justice as well, balance as well, which is another energy with the Patience card here as well, bringing things into balance. That again, the masculine and the feminine energy, the gold and the silver, balancing things out so you don't have too much one way or too much the other, which is how things have been for a long time. There has been this kind of over emphasis on many different things throughout our lives. And for instance, kind of the intellect being given much more importance, shall we say, than the emotional side of our bodies. So we tend to feel or feel with our emotions. Sorry, with our mind. We feel with our mind rather than actually feeling with our emotions, because our emotions are kind of like ignored, not given their full importance and their full recognition in our lives, on how much our lives are actually run on emotion rather than the intellect, what we feel. Plays a massive part, but we do tend to kind of ignore our emotions or try and sidestep our emotions. And our emotions are ours. They are ours. They're how we respond to something, how we react to something that comes into our environment. So the reaction that we have to something coming in that affects us on an emotional level will send out energy. We send that energy out all the time. It's constantly something that is always being sent out. Our feelings and our emotions are really the crux of our existence. But our emotions and our feelings can be manipulated, and they can be played on as well. But what I'm seeing here with this Justice and this Nine of Fire, there's like a very similar, if you look at this sword here, it's kind of flaming sword, sword of truth, also known as Michael's sword as well. Archangel Michael also carries this flaming sword of truth, which helps to cut through, again cutting through to the crux of the matter, the truth of the matter. Like laser beam kind of focus. And I'm seeing very similar here to this sword here as well. But the Nine of Fire can talk about like things that are difficult. It's often depicted, the Nine of Fire, as somebody who's kind of still struggling with something, still struggling to get to where they want to be, the achievement or the creative process that isn't coming together. But here, this card often reminds me of the magician, of the kind of manifestation energy. And there's something here about this being manifested in the same way as this sword of truth, almost like this is the reality. Because if you see here the way that these stars kind of turn into these little fireflies, or again it could be these fireflies turning into these stars. It's kind of playing is how it's coming through, playing with reality. Understanding something on a deeper level, understanding that things are not always as they appear. The Justice card is a major arcana card as well, so there's something like there's a higher energy involved in the Justice card. It's not just about our day-to-day existence of how we live life and like we do something and then we get this kind of retribution from it. It's not just talking about that. This is also talking about that on a higher level. Taking astrology, for example, into account, it's like these planets will be in certain places at certain times, and what we are experiencing on a collective level has already been kind of decided in many ways. And we are here to change these experiences, or to we're here to really bring in this new energy is how this is coming through. To bring in this new energy that is not stagnant or stuck. It's like bringing through this new understanding, this new level of awareness, this new way of being. Because there's something quite kind of awesome about that card, the way that she's kind of able to create something new. It's like something is being lit up, something is being shown the way. And it feels like this is the same energy here as it is here, because of this kind of this flower. She's got this flower design in her hair there. And then she's also got this kind of flower design, but it feels like this is the higher energy. And this is more us working on an earthly plane, if you like, with this energy. Like changing our future. Bringing the light through. Possibly also not accepting that things always have to be the same. There's a truth, it feels like there's a truth being revealed about who we are, how we live our lives. Up to date. It feels like something is being revealed, something is being seen that hasn't been seen up to now. So with the 10 of Earth here, this is in the place of the collective, how the collective is seeing things at this time. And 10s are all about letting something go. It's about reaching the end of something. It's about getting to that point where you need to release the energy in order for that new energy to come in. And it's in reverse, so we've been sitting here for quite some time in this place of kind of, feels like this place again of kind of waiting for something to change. I think there's also a realization here as well that we are the ones that can do this. We are the ones that are going to make the change here. It is up to us. It's no good expecting others to do this for us. And this is part of the karmic lesson, if you like, that we're learning. That nobody is any better than anybody else, regardless of the situation. We are these kind of amazing beings who have this ability to change and make a difference. So with this 10 of Earth though, what it's saying to me here is that once we reach the end of this process, once we reach the end of this time period, if you like, that we're in at this time, and I'm not just talking about the end of this year, although this is included in that, but also as we're moving out of this age of age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. This is all very very physical, in the very physical 3D dimensional world. So it's almost like I'm seeing these like constraints on us that we've kind of put there by our own kind of processes, our own mental processes, if you like, of believing that something has to be done in a certain way for it to be doable or achievable, that you have to do this, you have to go to work, you have to earn money, to stay alive, and that there's this kind of almost treadmill kind of energy behind this card today. This kind of treadmill, this kind of like just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And it's kind of also coming through with this kind of ancestral, because this 10 of Earth can also be about legacy as well, about what we pass on to the next generation. So it feels like this is no longer going to be done in the same way, that things are going to change. This feels very kind of nose to the grindstone energy that I'm feeling with this, very kind of heavy energy. Very different to this energy here, which feels much more lighter, much more inspiring. And again, in our hopes and our fears, we have the King of Earth. So more earth energy, more very kind of grounded, very kind of nose to the grindstone again kind of energy. This King, it feels like this is in our hopes and our fears, and it's coming through like this old, stagnant energy. Old, stagnant, kind of centuries old kind of energy is how it's coming through. But there does feel as well that there is this sense of wisdom or something that is still to be learnt from with this earth energy, because there's quite a lot of earth cards here. We've got 4 earth energies on the table. So there is this, it does feel like this, like lessons or wisdom that has been learnt through this King of Earth energy, that we have to come here, if you like, to the earthly realm in order to actually experience what we need to experience in order to be able to go to another level of understanding and being and doing. So this feels like we need to on some level, we need to stop limiting ourselves just by the physical realm, by the solidness of it. In the sense of again, it feels like limitation, just limitation. Like being limited, being held back, being because it's in reverse as well. This King of Earth doesn't feel as though it's being supported. King of Earth talks about that sense of achievement through the physical world, success, sharing of success. When he's upright, the King of Earth is somebody who's very giving, very kind of proud of his achievements and wants to share them. He wants to kind of show everybody how much he recognizes himself through his abilities to earn money and to be successful and to live a good life. Very much to do with the pleasures of life. It is the earth energy. It's Capricorn energy. Taurus energy, Virgo energy. But there's something quite heavy about this, it feels. Something quite heavy that's kind of holding us back, holding us down, stopping us from going beyond where we've been. Quite Capricorn energy is what's coming through here, that kind of restrictive, establishment kind of energy of wanting to it's kind of coming through as wanting to have it all, because the King of Earth, when he's in reverse, is not into sharing his abundance. It's like he wants to own it. He wants to be master of it all. Which is very kind of Saturn energy as well. And to end with here, we have two cards together. We have both in reverse again. The Eight of Air, which talks about being trapped in our own thoughts, our own thinking process, being careful where we put our thinking process. What do we focus on? What are we thinking? At the time of this full moon in Gemini as well, it's very strongly about our thoughts, which of course the full moon will last for more than just a day. It's like a 2-week process for the full moon energy. So we need to be kind of very aware and focused on where it is that we're literally, you know, what we're thinking about. Are we kind of holding ourselves back? Are we trapping ourselves within our own thinking process, within our own thoughts? Do we limit ourselves? Do we stop ourselves from believing in the impossible even? Or the magical, or the mystical, or the... which is what this is coming through as, this kind of sense of mystical wonderment. And it's coming through with the Strength card in reverse as well. So that also talks about a lack of strength, or inner conviction is how it's coming through. A lack of strength in our own inner conviction, even in our own thinking process, even in, like, you know, questioning or wondering, is what we're thinking the right thing? It feels like this lack of strength, literally, within who we are. Not trusting, not having the strength or the fortitude to be able to break out or break free. Because this is about being trapped. This is about being caught up in our own, like, you know, the thoughts that just spiral down, particularly when it's in reverse as well. This long, drawn out kind of process happening over and over again. The same kind of thoughts just going round and round and round in the head, and keeping us in a certain way of thinking, a certain way of being, and not having that strength to break out, break free, is how that's coming through. Because the Strength card also represents the masculine and the feminine energies here as well. Can also be our own strength being used against us when it's in reverse, that we're not necessarily able to... Interesting. We also have the Strength card come out again, only this time it's upright, over the top. So what it's saying to me here is that this is where our strength lies. Our strength lies within our own seeking, our own questing, our own answers. We have the answers within us. It's whether or not we have the strength of mind and the fortitude to trust, in many ways, what we are knowing, what we know. Do we trust what we know? Or do we allow other people to kind of convince us otherwise, tell a different story? So our strength is found within ourselves, within our own understanding of something, by going within and taming that beast as well. There's also something here about knowing when to roar and when to be more gentle with something. That's interesting. I'm getting kind of like the lion sleeps no more. I know this is a tiger in this one. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. So in this one it feels as though there's a lack of being able to stand up and roar in that sense, to stand the ground that is needed to be stood on. And this one, it feels as though there's this kind of reckoning or recognizing something within ourselves. There has to be. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm just seeing this here on this tiger's head, this patch here, which I think is part of the tiger's pattern, but it's coming through like a heart shape right here in between the eyes. So it could also be to do with like, but it's kind of flaming. It looks like a flaming heart. I was going to say it could be to do with third eye as well. But it's coming through like this, like coming from the heart, speaking from the heart, being strong within yourself, within your heart, your integrity, our integrity about things, finding that strength, finding that truth, and standing in it is kind of how it's coming through. I was saying, like the lion sleeps no more, the lion's no longer slumbering, it's awoken. And we have the Nine of Cups in our head. Over the top of the Two of Earth and the Eight of Earth. Nine of Cups is often seen as a wish-fulfilling card, a card of getting everything that you're wanting or hoping for. But I'm also seeing this today as kind of an overindulgence card here. It's interesting because it's kind of reminding me somehow of this hermit energy as well, with this head. There's like these two heads just kind of poking out from nowhere. And what it's kind of saying is that pleasure is okay, because it is kind of indulgence, the Nine of Cups. It is about like I was saying, wish fulfillment. But there's an awful lot of kind of wine and grapes and almost like overdoing it. And by overdoing it, it kind of just it's like, again, like the answers aren't to be found here. The answers are to be found here. So this is a lot more austere, this card, the Hermit card. Hermit only really has what he needs. He doesn't overindulge. This is what's in our head and what we're aware of. And maybe with this festive season coming up, we're all wanting to kind of party and just enjoy ourselves and just kind of forget about everything else. But it's kind of saying to me that this is a false sense of happiness, like a distraction. There's a kind of warning in this card somehow. Kind of warning about overindulging. Missing the lessons, missing the missing the lessons, missing the knowledge. Because of course, you know, when you get drunk and it's like everything becomes confused and you can kind of do things that you may regret. But there's also something here about kind of things happening behind our backs in a way. Like when we're partying, when we're enjoying ourselves, when we're in that festive energy, our focus is very much in this. It's like other things can be happening behind the scenes, which is also this kind of, there's something about that with this Justice card as well. I find that there's kind of something happening behind the scenes with this card, that it's not obvious what's happening. So there is this kind of warning. Oh, so I've got this. Oh, sorry about this. Okay, so we have these two cards that came out earlier for the Ace of Air as well. So over the top of the Ace of Air we have the Six of Wands in reverse and the Judgment card in reverse. So the Six of Wands talks about a sense of victory, but it's in reverse. So it's kind of saying that the victory was either short-lived or it hasn't really been a victory at all. It might felt that we'd reached a stage of victory, that things were changing. That we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. is also what's coming through here. This kind of flash here again. This clarity, this understanding, this seeing something very clearly. But the Judgment card in reverse is saying that there's still a lot of, or there has been, there still is working through. This is past energy, so it is that sense of putting the ghosts to rest. There can be a sense of forgiveness within this card, forgiving those that have wronged us, forgiving ourselves ultimately for feelings of guilt or not doing something we should have done, or doing something we shouldn't have done, being involved in situations that maybe, had we been a bit more wise, we wouldn't have been involved with, or we would have responded differently. So there is this element here of needing to let these things go, but because it's in reverse, it still feels as though something is not being let go here. If I turn it up this way, you can see that these are ghosts that are rising up. I mean, it's judgment. Judgment Day is literally what it's talking about here. Judgment Day kind of being that last day where the dead are supposed to rise, but symbolically it's about the dead of our past experiences, really, that we're needing to let go and release to be able to move forward and forgive ourselves. But it's kind of saying, again, it's a big energy, it's in reverse, and so major arcana card energies tend to hang around for a long time. It's a big overall energy. So even though there's a past element to it, it feels like there's still something here that we're not necessarily seeing either, because the Six of Wands can also be about being seen, like a victory, but it's not a victory because it's in reverse. So it feels like almost getting out of this situation that we're in at this time, to do with this medical problem, and things appeared as though they were changing. It appeared as though we were going to be moving on. But that's not happening. But what is happening is there is a lot of people, shall we say, who are in the process of leaving at this time. And people are beginning to become more aware of this as well. We're seeing it more and more. And I have said this before as well, that this is all about choice at the end of the day. As painful as that may be to recognise or to understand, again, there's this sense of higher energy here as well. I mean, the Judgment and the Justice card are very kind of similar. Has a similar look about them to me. So there is this sense as well of kind of moving on. Releasing, Phoenix, rising from the ashes. in that process of rising from the ashes, because everything is crumbling around us. The old is crumbling around us. And we have the Six of Cups in our subconscious energy. And the Six of Cups for me is coming through with this very strong Venus retrograde Pluto energy. So the Venus Pluto retrograde energy is all about, well, not all about, but it's a big part of it is past relationships, experiences, past lovers returning karmically as well. There's always a kind of karmic, something to do with karmic connections with the Six of Cups. So, and that was a card that fell on the floor. So Venus is a planet of love, romance, and she's just turned retrograde with Pluto. So there are a lot of endings that are coming within relationships. There could also be a lot of, like saying, ex-lovers returning or trying to return. Because we also have the Four of Cups here as well, which is talking about that kind of energy of returning situations. Somebody who's very kind of focused on that one cup. There's all these three cups down here, which I'm kind of seeing as past experiences. But there's this cup here, this one cup. Where the focus and attention is drawn to, and it's going to be like this for a lot of us over this period of time. Venus is going to play a huge part. In fact, Venus is going to play a huge part over the next 18 months, as is Pluto, which I talk about in my astrology reading as well, because Pluto and Venus are the signs, or Taurus and Scorpio, should I say, are the signs that the North and the South Node are going to move into. So there's going to be a lot of focus on relationships over the next 18 months. A lot of relationships ending, a lot of relationships starting, new relationships, again, karmic connections, relationships that may not have worked out previously because it wasn't the right time for them. There's going to be a lot of reflection, inner reflection, again with that Hermit energy, a lot of inner reflection on our romance, on our relationships, on how we feel about things. Also value as well comes up quite strongly. What do we value? Do we value ourselves? It's also another issue here as well. Would we rather be in a relationship with somebody because we don't want to be on our own? even if it isn't the right relationship. Are we in relationships for convenience sake? Are we happy? Are we getting our needs met and fulfilled? All these kind of questions are going to come up over this next 3 months. On a deeper subconscious level as well. So we have the Page of Wands and the Knight of Swords. Over the top of this need for patience and holding back, and the Page of Wands is not really one for holding back. He wants action, he wants to do, he wants to, there's always something quite devious looking, I think, about this particular page. All pages are young energy, immature energy, energy that needs to grow up, needs to experience life in order to be able to grow up, to learn. But this page wants to have fun. This page wants to, he wants to jump into things. He's not one to hold back. He's not one to not experience life. There's a lot of red in this card here as well, which kind of relates to the root chakra. A very kind of sexual energy is what I'm getting off of this card here as well. So of course Pluto is also the card of, it rules the genitals, it rules sexual energy. So there could also be this kind of like acting from an immature place. It feels very like devious. There's like this devious energy here is what I'm feeling, like something somebody who's maybe not trustworthy coming back into our lives, or trying to come back into our lives. But I feel as though they're just there literally for the fun, just for the sex, just for, because there's all this kind of fiery background here as well. But it feels as though they could also be a charmer, but with this Knight of Swords here in reverse as well, it feels as though it's kind of something very sudden, very kind of like flash in the pan is what's coming through. This kind of sudden, like for people whose relationships are going to come to an abrupt and sudden end, it feels as though there's something else that's going to kind of almost test or tempt, or kind of, that's how it's coming through, like this testing, tempting kind of energy that is going to be very quick in and out type of energy. It's going to be like gone as quickly as it's there. There is just this kind of mischievous energy, like mischievous but also devious. Something about it that's not, doesn't feel healthy. Almost like a trick, almost like a trickster energy. Like something that's going to come in to kind of see whether or not you can say no. is how it's kind of coming through. Because this Patience card may also have a sense of like aloneness or loneliness about it. Especially for people who have been on their own for a long time. Especially isolated people. But it feels like regret. It feels like there will be regret if you go down that path at this time. Over this next 3-month period while Venus is retrograde. That there will be even more regret than it's like following a pattern somehow. Like we're being tested to see if we have grown up or if we're still coming from that same immature, like teenage kind of need, shall we say, to just have our needs met, and that's it. It's just like sexual needs met. But that person, whoever that person is not going to be hanging around. And they're going to cause, it just feels like with all that fire in the background as well, it's just going to cause more emotional upset, inflame things even more during that Venus retrograde. That's interesting because we have the Two of Cups come out. After this, we have the Two of Cups, and it almost feels as though this is kind of what's coming as a reward in a way. But if we don't fall for this, we will actually get this. So this is trickster. This is real. But this is something we've got to wait for. This is something we can't rush into. And it does feel like clearing out that again, this is kind of, it feels like creating more karma or creating more pain. Whereas this feels new, it feels magical. It feels like something that is the right thing. But it's a sense of waiting and dealing with all the emotional stuff that we're going to have to deal with as it comes up. We'll do a separate reading for the Pluto-Venus retrograde. Okay, so 10 of Earth or 10 of Coins and the 5 of Coins together. Now that's a sense of, I would say, depression even. Like real sense of things being hard, like hardship. Okay, so I don't know if you've heard this expression that keeps being thrown out there about this being a hard winter. It is going to be a hard winter. Not maybe just weather-wise, but because of what we're going to experience as we experience loss on a big scale, on a major scale. We are going to experience loss here. which is going to leave us feeling, that's why I said it feels like a very kind of depressed energy, a devastated energy, a sense of, again, isolation, being on our own, hardship. And it's going to be that way partly because of this Venus energy again, because Venus and Pluto is about loss. He is the lord of the underworld. He is the ruler of birth, rebirth, death, and we are going to experience a lot of that over the next 3 months. The last one that I just said in particular is going to be very strong, and I feel that that is also something here that we're going to collectively, it's not going to be easy to find that strength. So this is a card of difficult times, or both of these two cards together are cards of difficult time. Again, astrologically, we have like Capricorn. I mean, Capricorn is hard. It's a harsh energy. Venus in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn. The Sun is going to be in Capricorn as from the 21st. Mercury is in Capricorn. We already have a stellium, or we will have by the 21st. Well, there is a stellium, but there'll be like the Sun as well adding to that stellium. So that's quite a few planets all in Capricorn, and Capricorn is that harsh reality check energy. It's the teacher, and the lessons can be very hard, and that's really where we're at this time. And in our hopes and our fears, we have the Queen of Swords, which is coming through with that kind of strength of mind, strength of presence, is how I'm kind of seeing this. Like the warrior nature is what's coming through here, a sense of warrior nature, digging down deep. Also of being guarded or guided or protected, possibly even. Again, the sword, truth being protected. It's in our hopes and our fears, so there could also be a sense of hoping that what we believe to be true is true. Queen of Swords, very, very matter of fact. Doesn't beat around the bush, doesn't piss about, like straight to the truth, straight to the facts. Isn't interested in any of the rest of it. She just wants to know the reality of it, the truth of it. So in our hopes and our fears, there's this sense of, are we going to get that? Are we going to get the truth? Are we going to get to the bottom of this? Are we going to find out what's actually happening here as to why we're losing all these people? And then we have the Ace of Wands in reverse. So it's like, it feels like this new beginning. New beginning is kind of not as it seems, not as it appears. It's kind of like not happening in the way that we expect it to happen, maybe. Aces, again, it's new energy. It's fire. It's creativity. It's making things happen. But not when it's in reverse. When it's in reverse, it's literally saying that things are not coming together in the way that we're hoping. Things are not, because it seems like the fire is all down here. Like if it was up that way, it would be like lighting things up, like seeing this new beginning, kind of being pulled towards this new incoming creative, powerful energy. But because it's in reverse, it's kind of very subdued. It's kind of like everything is, feels like underground or under. It feels a bit like a volcano that wants to explode, is how this is coming through. Like a volcano waiting. It's kind of like that energy's building up. It's building and it's building and it's building. And it should have, in that sense, it should have come out kind of like, you know, already active, shall we say, active, like actually doing, but it's not, it's kind of being subdued, it's being kept oppressed, suppressed. So I'm going to pull one more on that to see. Yeah, and it feels like it's building. It's like this building energy that, because it's being kept underground or underneath or suppressed, again, oppressed, it's like it's building. It's this building energy that is waiting. It's waiting to erupt. That's how it feels. It feels like it's going to just explode at some point. But not yet. Not yet. Is there anything else? Anything else we should know about this energy? So on top of the 8 of Air and the Strength card, again, as I was saying, this kind of sense of strength being used against us, so it feels like that energy being suppressed. And with that 8 of Air, that trapped, it's that trapped like thought form. Like nowhere to release is how it's coming through. Like the mind is just like going to keep playing these games with itself, or just keep going round and round and round until it kind of drives itself insane in a way, is what I'm feeling here. This sense of kind of like, but it feels also like not being able to hold that back. And we have the Three of Wands come after that as well. So that's interesting, because the Three of Wands is talking about a new future. Literally, you can see this boat sitting on the harbour down here, looking into the clouds or into the onto the horizon, and this boat is kind of coming through. So it feels like this sense, this is the future kind of suddenly bursting in on the present, is kind of how it's coming through, like this sense of like, of this here, building, 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 and then all of a sudden it just kind of happens, like the future arrives, like bang, there it is, right in front of us. And it's like, what do we do next? Yeah, it kind of feels unexpected. Like all of a sudden it's just there. And we don't kind of know quite. It's like almost like we've been waiting for it for so long that we're now kind of shocked. Shocked that it's turned up, shocked that it's here. It's kind of like, oh. Again, this kind of sense of something startling. And that sense of truth as well. I know that's past energy, but I feel that that sense of truth is quite important amongst all this. So I'm going to pull a animal spirit card, because I would like to know, I haven't used these for a long time, so I'd like to see which animal is most relevant at this time for us energetically. What's the message from the animal spirits? And we get the pig, and he's come out in reverse. And the pig is saying, use your mind wisely. Which is interesting, because that's what I was saying about this 8 of air here, like kind of where are we focusing our energy, and also this not being led by other people. So let's see what the pig spirit has to say. Number 47, and he came out in reverse, so that means that the message is quite important. So it's protection message in reverse, and it says, are you ruminating, turning thoughts around and around in your head but not getting nearer to a decision or solution? Pig spirit is here to protect you from analysis paralysis. Let your mind rest now and allow your intelligence to mingle with the mysterious of intuitive guidance. Or the mysteries of intuitive guidance. Releasing your tight hold on facts and unsolved puzzles, whether it be a relationship or any other aspect of your life. And like I was saying, relationships are going to be big for the next 18 months. In fact, now might be a good time to think about something else altogether and release your grip on needing to know. When your thought processes are muddled by fear and anxiety, allow pig spirit to lead you back to the right use of your natural intelligence. Take a break, relax, and release that ball of worry. Soon the smart choice will become clear to you. More facts may be needed, more digging for information, and more questioning when seeking to learn more. Enjoy the process of using your thinking. All the elements of your intelligence are reliably guiding you now once you've given your mind a rest. And that's really what this card here, or these two cards at the beginning, was saying as well. Like, this is about taking that step back, taking a rest. Take a step back, don't get involved in other people's business or in the busyness of everything. Look within for the answers. Strength, of course, can also be courage as well. So it could also be saying find that courage. And let's see, I haven't pulled one of these for a long time as well. So a crystal card, crystal divas. What is the energy that's needed at this time that we can work with from the crystal mineral kingdom? Still getting used to this new setup. Do we have a card, please, Source? Source energy, source of all that is, all that has ever been, and all that is coming into being. Crystal Diva card. Certainly getting a good shuffle, if nothing else. A Crystal Diva card for the collective Gemini full moon reading, please. Okay, we'll go with this one. Oh, Bogie Stones, balance. Number 8. The balancing number. Number of balance. Also, is it the number? Yeah, the number of strength as well. Number 8. So that's interesting. Twice. So that's 3 times now. Number of fate as well, of course. So what are you saying, Bogie Stones? All matter is in a state of perpetual motion. I would just say quickly that it's working with the root chakra. Bogie stones are not easy to find. You can get hold of them through specialist crystal sellers. You might be able to get them on things like eBay or Amazon. So all matter is in a state of perpetual motion and evolution. When an earthquake, volcano or avalanche occurs, the Earth's movement is obvious. Otherwise, it appears to be static. In reality, it is constantly moving, shifting and breathing. The Earth's undulation provides us with a mode of transportation. Unusual as it may seem, the Earth propels us forward and we burrow through the Earth like a gopher or mole. Our movement is very slow, imperceptible to the human eye. As we move along, we form our bodies by magnetizing particles to ourselves. We push up to the surface of the Earth to complete our formation and fully express ourselves in the form you know as Bogie. So it goes on to say that gender identity is not usually a characteristic of the mineral kingdom. Like, most stones don't have a masculine or feminine, but these two do. The male stone is the bumpy one, I think. Yeah, the male is the bumpy one, the smaller of the two there, and the feminine is the smoother, flatter, slightly larger in that picture. So our differentiation of gender is not for reproductive purposes, but bogie stones, as bogie stones do not mate and bear offspring. We evolve differently because of specific tasks that are more effectively accomplished through our separation. One is a unique method of balancing planetary energy fields by working in a grid-like pattern. Another is for balancing emotional states, particularly in the animal and human kingdoms. Occasionally we assist the plant kingdom as well if they have experienced extreme trauma. There's a lot of that around. So it says, how can we help you? The most effective way is for you to hold us or our card in your hands. If you have our stone bodies, hold the male bogie in the left, female bogie in the right. If you are left-handed, reverse hands. As you meditate or sit quietly, the two of us function independently yet synergistically to calm you. Our brown colour reflects the energy of the root chakra. The root chakra's mission and our own is to help provide balance and stability via our connection to Mother Earth. We use our vertebral column as an anchoring rod that connects you directly with the grounding energies of the earth. This extension of yourself travels all the way to the earth's core. As you hold us, feel your body fill with space, spread out and flow into the earth which surrounds it. The emotions tensing your body and filling your mind are released into the layers of rock and soil around you. Stress, concern or sadness will leave your body through its outer layers. Once your body is free of these emotions, it can then absorb the nutrients that the earth so freely offers for healing. Another way to achieve balance is by going within and turning into nature's vibration of harmony. You may not be able to visit a national forest, a river or the ocean. You can, however, go out into your own backyard or to a park. Nature is all around you. Okay, so it gives you a method of, it says sit on a rock or hold one in your hand or next to your heart. Feel yourself coming into balance under the grounding influence of a mineral. Lean against a tree and feel its energy wash over you and calm you. Find a pond or fountain and experience the songs of the water spirits soothing your stressed soul. Sit a little longer, quietly, reverently, and feel yourself merging with your stone, plant and water kin. You are tapping into the divine flow. Another method of finding balance is through meditation. Once again, the energies of both the earth and the universe assist you. Sit quietly with your eyes closed. As you inhale, imagine a stream of light filling each of your chakras as it descends through your body. As you exhale, envision this stream of light traveling deep into the earth. The next time you inhale, breathe light into your chakras from the earth up, filling them from the bottom upward. With the exhalation, send this light out into the universe. Repeat this procedure at least 3 times. For the next step, as you inhale, pull light from both the earth and the universe into your body simultaneously. Light will fill the chakras from different directions and will exist in your body in parallel channels at the same time. On the exhaltation, send universal light into the earth and earth light into the universe, just as you did before. Repeat at least 3 times. This exercise will balance you on multiple levels and create a feeling of peace and well-being. Why have you drawn our card today? Is a lack of balance interfering with your work or personal relationships? Balance is difficult in your hectic world. The demands on you are great and stress is ever present. Stress is a destructive vibration, creating anxiety, agitation and fear. Your physical vehicle cannot endure as much stress as is forced upon you. To avoid illness and injury, you must find your sense of balance. You are under siege from forces that intend to destroy the natural state of balance of the earth. These are powerful forces originating from outside the planet, although infiltrating it successfully through your media. This negative energy feeds on itself and multiplies. It is not our intention to alarm you with this information, but you should be aware that all entities in the universe do not work for truth and goodness. Some have become destroyers of the light. There is no reason to fear. Fear exasperates the problem. The forces of the light are strong, but we need your help. We urge you to lend your love and light to support this great work. The earth needs your balance to balance itself. Center yourself and become one with the divine flow. All nature is there to help you. Pan, the overseer of the nature kingdom, offers his cooperation in helping the human kingdom, and so do we. Blessings upon you. So that is an interesting card for this times, because we are under huge amounts of stress and duress, and like I was saying, over these next 3 months it's just going to get even more intense and more distressing. So if that kind of helps in any way to sit in nature or to meditate, which is also this kind of hermit energy here as we're talking about, go into yourself, find your strength from within, find the balance within. And that's really interesting, because I just opened my flick book to see what it had to say, and it says, just for today I hear my own words coming back to me. So obviously I need to also be doing some of that. So just for today I shall not fear death, but welcome its revelations. Pluto energy, impermanent energy, is very strong at this time. So I'm going to leave the reading there and say that I hope that it has made some sense to you. I hope that it has on some level been of some help to you. If it has, please could you like it for me, subscribe to my channel for me, please tap the bell if you want to get videos as and when I put them out. Please share my videos as well, that's a real welcome for you to do that. And just to say thank you very much to those of you who have been here with me on my journey so far. I'm going to keep on going, and as I said yesterday in my astrological video, I will be putting out the 2022 videos as well. Probably not before the end of January though, so some of them may be before the end of January, but or before the end of December should I say. So by the end of January I should have got them all out there, is what I'm trying to say. I'm failing badly. So again, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this Gemini full moon, and also the upcoming solstice, the winter solstice that is happening on the 21st as the sun leaves Sagittarius and moves into Capricorn. Enjoy the festive season, and hopefully I will see you all again soon. Take care.